Hello again, my little conscripts, and welcome to another Mordian Glory video. In today's episode, we are going to be casting our ever-critical eye over another 10th edition Codex Imperial Guard datasheet. This time, we are going to be taking a look at the Ratling Snipers. These guys recently got a new plastic kit, and let me tell you, it has piqued my interest. And so without further ado, let's take aim and dive right into this. As is tradition, let us begin with a cheeky gander at the Ratlings stat line. Despite their diminutive stature, they do have a 6-inch move, which is pretty good. It means that they're able to keep up with the rest of the guard infantry waves. Although it's important to note that unlike a lot of other guard units, Ratlings do not have the regiment keyword. As a result, they cannot receive orders. So no move on these guys. And they don't have any assault weapons, so no advancing and shooting with them. But 6 inches is enough, that's what she said, to get the job done and for the role that we have in mind for these guys. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. We'll cover that with the tactics when we get near the end of the video. As for their defensive stat line, well, it's pretty shocking. Normally, I breeze through this being like, oh yeah, T3, 5+ save, 1 wound, blah, blah, blah. T2! Toughness bloody 2. That means they're getting wounded on 2s pretty much all of the time. Anything that is a bolter or higher, which describes, I think, about 95% of all small arms in the game, wounds them on 2s. Goddamn lasguns wound them on 3s. Grot blasters wound these guys on 3s. They are particularly fragile. And then you add in the fact they have a whole 6+ save. Woo! What? An Orc's tank top provides a better save than these guys. These armored shoulder pads, they do nothing. 1 wound is, to be fair, normal. But do not expect these guys to survive even a stiff breeze. And then the fact that leadership 8... Like, most things in the guard are leadership 7, and then occasionally I get to be like, ooh, commissar, leadership 6. Leadership 8? Oh, man, it's a good job. That doesn't really mean anything. Because they don't receive orders, so failing a battleshock test isn't going to deny them something like take aim. And they're not really for doing objectives either with only OC1. So the leadership 8 looks terrible, but in reality, it has very low impact on what this unit's trying to achieve. So I think we can safely say we are not taking the Ratlings for their stat line. So let's get into the weapons and war gear. To start off, Ratlings can be taken in squads of 5 to 10. Huzzah! For ages, Ratlings have been stuck at a 5-man unit. No more, no less. 5 little buggers. Finally, we can take them in bigger squads again. I remember back in the heady days of 6th, 7th, 8th edition when you could take like 30 Ratlings in an army. Oh, it was great. It was crazy. I mean, you never saw anyone do it apart from the occasional absolute mad lad. But you used to be able to get 30. Then they went down to a maximum of 15 in an army. And now we're back up to the big 30. Again, do I think we're going to see many people take 30 of them? Probably not. Is it an option? Would I love to try it out sometime? You're goddamn right I would. What's interesting about the unit composition is it is directly tied into what war gear you can take. Because each Ratling comes with a sniper rifle and close combat weapon. The sniper rifle isn't actually too bad at all. We'll get into that in a second. But the squad's war gear options can only be unlocked if it contains 10 models. So 5-man squads only ever have 5 snipers. That's it. But if you take a 10-man squad, you can take a tank stopper rifle, you can take demolition gear, and you can take a Ratling battlement. What's interesting is you don't lose out on any equipment here. So it's not like replace your sniper rifle with demolition gear. Nope, you keep the sniper and you get the demolition gear on one guy. It also says, you know, you just get to take a Ratling battlement. You're not swapping your sniper rifle out or anything. So it's not like if we look at like Krieg Engineers where you've got to lose all of your weapons apart from your rattly shank to take the remote mine. Nope. 10-man squads of Ratlings. The only sniper rifle you miss out on is to take an even bigger sniper rifle, essentially. Quick side question for the dear viewers, and please let me know your answers down in the comment section here. But looking at this datasheet, I feel like I can put all of these upgrades on one Ratling, because it doesn't say one model equipped with a sniper rifle can take demolition gear. One model equipped with a sniper rifle can take a Ratling battlement. There's no asterisks next to any of this limiting the equipment. If you've already swapped one thing, you can't take another thing. It just says one model can swap a sniper rifle or a tank stopper, but then it just says one model can be equipped with demolition gear, one model can be equipped with Ratling battlement. Is there some sort of obscure thing in the rules commentary or an FAQ or the core rules somewhere that says that I'm not allowed to go tank stopper, demolition gear, and Ratling battlement? The reason I do think it's possible is if we come over to the Cajun Shock Troop datasheet here and look at their war gear options, it's very clear that you can't have guys with plasma guns equipped also with Vox casters, because it says for every 10 mods of this unit, up to 2 shock troopers can each have their las gun replace one of the following: flamer, grenade launcher, melter gun, plasma gun. And then it says for every 10 mods of this unit, 1 shock trooper equipped with a las gun can be equipped with a Vox caster. This model's las gun cannot be replaced. So by taking a grenade launcher, a melter gun, or a plasma gun, or flame, it precludes you from being able to take the Vox caster. But we don't see that preclusion on the Ratling datasheet. So if we go for a 10-man squad, can we load one Ratling up with everything? I think the answer is yes. I want to make something abundantly clear. If it turns out that this is possible, it's not broken in any way, shape, or form. It just makes the squad slightly more efficient in terms of casualties and in terms of where gear can be placed in the unit. Rather than, let's say, you take 7 casualties in your squad and then with the 8th, 9th, and 10th casualty, you start losing that special equipment. You can take up to 9 casualties in this unit and still have all of your gear. And that can make a difference where you're placing people, so you can have like the one guy who's got everything as a guy on the objective, and then all the other squad members can tow off the objective and go off the objective and conga line off. And that means that even if you lose 9 out of 10 of the unit, you still got the objective and you've still got all the gear on that one guy. So it's not a big deal in any way, shape, or form. It just makes the unit slightly more efficient. But I'm not 100% certain if this is possible, so let's all keep an eye out on the comment section down below, and hopefully we can all find the answers together. Getting back on topic, let's look at what these weapons do. So the close combat weapon is completely tragic. It's strength 2, weapon skill 5. Let's just brush past that. Ratlings in melee equals death, and not for the enemies of the Ratlings. Ratlings in shooting, though, are quite interesting. Sniper rifles have received quite a buff. Many guard veterans, including myself, for the longest time, have kind of poo-pooed them, dismissed them, because sniper rifles were trash. Forever and ever and ever they were trash. And also, you often found them in units that could take other weapons. If we go back to the days of old, when you could take special weapon squads, or you could put snipers on the special weapon squad, or melter guns and plasma guns. And you go to like Krieg squads, now it's like, oh, you could put a sniper rifle on that Krieg squad. Yeah, or I could take a plasma gun or a melter gun. So it's always been that sniper rifles seem to get overlooked. But if we actually just look at what they do, they're not a bad unit. You have got heavy with a ballistic skill of 3+, meaning that even though these guys can't get orders, they can still hit on 2s. They have precision, which is, it's not a big deal until it is. You can very easily protect yourself from precision because it requires line of sight. But there are a lot of armies out there, like Necrons, which are having a bit of a resurgence and have been very strong and very popular throughout all of 10th edition. They really rely on their characters, so being able to snipe those out, I've heard more than one tale of people saying they won a game because of precision, against Necrons specifically. So don't dismiss it. When we look at the profile of the sniper rifle, it's got a good range at 36 inches. Strength 4 is okay. Tends to wound most infantry characters on 4s. Although if you start trying to snipe custodies, you are looking at 5s. AP -2, not bad. It's Going to kick a lot of characters down to a 4+ invulnerable save if they've got one. Even the benefit of cover, most characters will find themselves on a 4+ armor save. And damage 2. Typically, you're only going to need 2 or 3 wounds to go through to get the job done. And on a big squad of 9 of these guys, well, 10, but the tank stopper rifle doesn't have precision, so we'll just put that to one side for a second. You're looking at, if you're hitting on 2s, you're looking at about 7 or 8 hits. Wounds, you're looking at about, I'd say 4 or 5 hits. 4 or 5 wounds. There's a good chance that each time these guys fire, they'll plink out a Space Marine Lieutenant or equivalent. So I think sniper rifles actually deserve a little bit more respect these days. Damage 2 and AP 2, hell of a combination. But it's the tank stopper rifle that has really caught my eye. So even though it's a really, really big Mac-off like anti-material rifle, it still hits on a 3+ on the move, and it has heavy going up to a 2+. Suck on that, Votan. And it's strength 9, AP -3, D6 damage. It's an actual anti-tank rifle. It's going to be about as effective as anti-tank rifles were in World War II, because the strength 9 does limit it somewhat. But against light transports, Tauruxes, Venoms, against a lot of Eldar vehicles, remember, a lot of Eldar vehicles cap out at T9. So you're going to be wounding against the right target, against some meta targets. Remember, Necron vehicles are weirdly like toughness 9 as well. Toughness 8, toughness 9. They're weirdly fragile because they've got invulnerable saves to try and protect them. But there are a lot of armies out there where this thing, at worst, will wound on 5s, and against the right target will wound on 3s or 4s. What I like about it, though, is you kind of apply the same logic to this as you do anti-tank rifles in bolt action, which is they're not actually for going after vehicles, they're for going after tough infantry. It's not really a tank stopper rifle, it's more like a Custodes cooker rifle, because it's gonna hit the Custodes on a 3, it's gonna wound the Custodes on a 3, it's gonna kick them right down to that 4+ invulnerable save, and on average, if they fail it, it pops 1. And I quite like the idea of a Ratling with a big man stopper just slotting a Custodes. Just not aiming for the vision slit, just taking the whole head off. So the weapons of the Ratlings more than make up for their kind of crappy stat line, and their abilities are good as well. We're going from strength to strength here. Let's talk about infiltrators, because we've got all these other abilities, and we will get to them, and we will cover them. But this is really, I would say, the main reason why you're thinking about taking them. Infiltrators means that you can deploy this unit anywhere on the board as long as it's over 9 inches away from any enemy units, and as long as it's over 9 inches away from the enemy's deployment zone. This is really important, because Ratlings infiltrating can shut down a lot of armies' pre-game moves, like Scout. Melee is on the rise. Melee with Scout is very much on the rise. And being able to just be like, no Scout for you. Even if it's, whether it's against melee units or not, just being able to go, no Scout for you. Phenomenally powerful. In the Guard, especially against these melee armies, we tend to find that it's a race against time. We have to try and take as much ground as possible before we inevitably hit the brick wall of choppy coming the other way. And we also have to be able to create multiple lines so that they don't just overrun from one unit to the next. We need also as much time as possible to keep them off the mid-board objectives. A lot of melee armies like to charge past the mid-board, keep a few spare units on there, keep your front lines busy while they're racking points up. And by the time that you've dealt with the stuff that's in your face, the mid-board scores have won the game on points. Slowing them down, speed bumping them, denying them maneuverability in any way, shape, or form, it's very, very, very valuable. Game changing. And so I think because of infiltrators, plus the fact that the meta is very much changing to being melee orientated, fast assault army orientated. I think I'd say before 2025, before this guard codex, Ratlings were a solid choice, but they were a little bit ahead of the curve. Now I think the curve is here. I think the meta for them to thrive in is here. But what I like about Ratlings is I don't think they're a one-trick pony. I think it's a bit like when we did the Commissar review and we were like, look, these guys are your secondary game doers, but if that doesn't happen, if the battlefield situation isn't conducive to sticking the Commissars in reserve, they can just go back to doing their normal role of executing people and keeping your morale up. I think Ratlings are the same thing. They have this job. Their primary job is mess with Scout, infiltrate forward, make sure they're buying time for the rest of your army to be able to shoot the crap out of the enemy. But if that's not the situation, you're facing a shooting army or a slower army or an army that doesn't have Scout, don't pointlessly throw your Ratlings forward and get them killed. Keep them back. They've got a 36-inch range. As we've said, sniper rifles have had a big glow up over 10th edition. And the meta's also changed. Because at the beginning of 10th, it was all about vehicles and monsters. And now it's all about elite infantry. At the beginning of 10th, sniper rifles had a glow up, but they weren't getting the targets they needed. Now, as everyone's running around with elite infantry, Ratlings find themselves in a target-rich environment. So they can do the infiltration disruption, but they can if that's not an option, they can also go back to their fluffy role, their narrative role of just being long-range snipers, plinking away and doing a few wounds. And they're not expensive. At 60 points, that's cheaper than a unit of Tempestus Scions, which I think is worth mentioning. More to put into context how expensive I think Scions have got. But at 60 points, you could pop a squad of Ratlings or two, a 5-man squad, into your army, and I don't think it would massively impact on the rest of your list. I think you could put that in there and be like, you know what? If my Ratlings end up stopping Scout one round of the tournament, great. If the other 4 rounds at a GT, they're just doing plinking work, that's okay. I'm okay with that points cost for what this unit is bringing to the table. Now, we've kind of gone off on one with the infiltrators, but I think it was a really important point, as it's the main reason for taking the guys. I think deep diving it in the middle of the video is not a bad thing to do. But now let's look at the rest of their abilities and their war gear abilities and really get a full, complete image of this unit. Stealth gives them -1 to hit from ranged attacks. That's nice, but I don't think it really protects you. I think your stat line is so phenomenally weak that being -1 to hit, you're still going to die. So I don't put much stock in stealth. If it was loan up, that would be different, but it's not loan up. Shoot sharp and Scarper is how you protect your Ratlings. In your shooting phase, after this unit has shot, if it is not within engagement range of any enemy units, it can make a normal move as if it were your movement phase. If it does, until the end of the turn, this unit is not eligible to declare a charge. Well, that's good, because you're never ever going to charge with them. So, oh no, what a debuff, what a downside. But the big thing is, this is a full move. It's not a D6. It's not like a Termagant Scuttle. It's a full move. It is in your shooting phase, so you can't do this on Overwatch anymore. Before, in the Index, you could shoot and then do this move after Overwatch. Sadly, not anymore. There's 2 ways of using this. You move your Ratlings out, shoot, and then shoot Sharp and Scarper back behind line of sight blocking terrain, keeping them safe. The other way of using them is speed. Move out, shoot, and then move forward. So Ratlings can go 12 inches in a turn. A good way of looking at this is it's like they have pseudo auto advance 6 inches and still shoot. Because you can't charge with like assault weapons, can you? You can just advance and shoot with them. So it's like pseudo assault, but also pseudo auto advance 6 inches. It's really cool ability. And I think that's probably the stronger way of using it. I think the jumping in and out is the more straightforward way. It's the easy way of getting your head around it. But I think the idea of move your Ratlings out, shoot, Scarper onto an objective, maybe get something like engage North Front, maybe get something like secure no man's land or extend battle lines. I think that's the 160 IQ big brain 5D chess maneuver that you do with shoot sharp and Scarper, and that's where I think its real strength is. As for the war gear abilities, Ratling Battlement. Once per battle, when this unit is selected to shoot, it can use the ability. If it does, until the end of the phase, range weapons equipped by models in this unit have the lethal hits ability. That's a straight damage boost. That is a straight up damage boost. I like lethal hits. It's not lethal hits against infantry. It's just lethal hits against everything. Once per battle, being able to maybe slam a whole bunch of damage to AP -2 lethal hits into a weakened enemy monster or vehicle on a 10-man squad. I like that. And bear in mind, you only get this on a 10-man squad, so you only need to look at it through the context of the big squad. On a 5-man squad, you don't get the battlement. 10-man squad with tank stopper, I like it. I think you could spike that quite effectively. I do have one thing to say though. It's once per battle, and you have to remove the token once it's been used. Where does the dog go? I think the Ratlings eat the dog. And when they've got a full stomach, they aim better, and that's how they get the lethal hits. I have to say, I don't know how I feel about GW making a unit that eats dogs. In the chat, and someone call the RSPCA. Moving swiftly on, we've got demolition gear. This gives the unit the grenades keyword. This is it's decent. I think it adds a little bit of tactical depth to the 10-man squad. You see, most people think of Ratling and squad sizes in two dimensions. Either taking a small, cheap 5-man squad for screwing over people's scout moves, or you are taking big 10-man squads that are more expensive. They're about 100 points, and therefore you don't want them just getting trashed, so you keep them a bit further back and you plink away with your sniper rifles and your tank stopper rifles and all that kind of stuff. I think the fact that you get demolition gear on the 10-man squad, and that gives you grenades, does open up the idea that you could be aggressive in your infiltration with a 10-man squad. If you then get the first turn, you could move out, grenade someone, and then shoot them. Some sort of crazy Ratling alpha strike. However, I think that is too aggressive, and I think it's too ballsy, and I think it's too risky. Because you don't know if you're going to get the first turn. The way I see demolition gear is it gives the Ratlings grenades. If the situation comes up where Ratlings need to use those grenades, it's probably because something has deep struck down or moved around and got into the flank, and it's like, oh, nice to have. Remember, I've got grenades. Throw the grenades and then fill them with point-blank sniper fire. I think that's the way to look at it, not crazy banzai charging, alpha striking Ratlings. It's a tool in the toolbox. It might come up 1 in 10, 20, 30 games, but it's a free upgrade. You might as well have it, and who knows, it might come in clutch every now and again. That just about covers everything. Overall, I think Ratlings are a solid unit. I think they are flexible, they bring a lot to the table, and they unlock some pretty important tools in the guard toolbox, which are becoming more and more relevant by the day as the meta evolves from a shooting vehicle and monster one to a melee elite infantry one. Do I think they're an absolute auto-include? I don't think so. I think there'll be plenty of guard players, especially with the current points cost, that are kind of finding it hard to squeeze everything into a list that they want anyway, and they might find it difficult to justify Ratlings. Totally get that, totally understandable. I find that very similar when I'm building my lists. But I do think that if you're someone that likes Ratlings, you can now include them in your army and not feel like you're handicapping yourself. And like I said, I think there's some genuine arguments to be made for their competitiveness and for really us all trying to find the points to include a unit. How would I take them? In my mind, I think I would either take 2 5-man squads. I think 1 is not enough. I think if you take 1 5-man squad, the enemy will be able to scout around their disruptive bubble, their 9-inch disruptive bubble. I think 2 5-man squads infiltrated in some key ruins is going to cost about 120 points, but could completely nullify a lot of fast scouting and just pre-game movement. If you're not going to take 2 5-man squads, I think a single 10-man squad is the way to go. I think you can justify putting a squad of Ratlings in your army for 100 points. I think if you go for one 5-man squad of Ratlings, like I said, that doesn't do enough on the scouting disrupting front, and I don't think it does enough on the plinking damage front. So in summary, they're good, and how I would use them is 2 5-manners or 1 10-manner. Of course, all of this is just like my opinion, man. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Do you think that Ratlings now have a genuine place in competitive lists? Or do you think that points are a bit tight at the moment and it's just too difficult to squeeze them into an army? If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to go ahead and smash that like button. And as always, subscribe to never miss an episode. Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian glory hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and patrons. You guys are amazing, truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full time without the incredible and generous support of my members, so thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a heartfelt thank you to Alex Dengal, Bonbon Vert, Lord Pryor, Mark Panconi, RJ Scorpion, Swordfish Trombone, Try Again Bragg, John Stubbs, Nick Walsh, Diesel Fox, and August Barney. Seriously guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support is incredible and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much. That's all for now. Hope you've all enjoyed today's video, and of course, as always, see you guys next time.